What's going on? This is Yancey, author and producer of the This Is Why series. Make sure you go now and subscribe to my website, www.newfacemanagement.org. This is why you go to college.
This is why you go to college.
Hey yo, this is why you go to college. New Face Entertainment. Always paid my bills.
This is why you go to college.
New Face Entertainment. New Face. New Face.
This is why you go to college.
This is why you go to college.
This is why you go to college.
Alright, sir, go ahead. State your name.
What's up? My name is Tyrell.
Yeah, you know you graduated from and all that information, you know.
Graduated from Hampton University, 2008. Onyx, I think Onyx 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What was your major back then?
My major at Hampton, for undergrad, I did biological sciences. And then I stayed at Hampton for medical science. It was a post-bac program.
Alright, cool. So, where you from and where you at now?
So right now, I'm originally from Bronx, New York. Grew up in Bronx, New York, co-op. And right now I live in New Rochelle.
Cool. Alright. So, tell us what made you decide to go to a HBCU and what made you decide to go to Hampton?
So it's interesting because before, but how am I going to say this? So I went to a military school for high school. So after graduating high school, I wanted to join the military, but it was actually my mother's decision. My mother decided she was trying to get me not to go to the military, so she was like, yeah. Sorry, I got distracted.
Nah, go ahead. You know what I'm saying? This is all editing, bro. Do what you gotta do, and we get back to it.
All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I graduated from military school. It was boarding school. She didn't send me because I was bad, just because my grades, and I was black kid from the Bronx. So yeah, and then she wanted me to get back with my heritage, and I agreed. So I was like, yeah, let me go to Hampton.
Oh, so Hampton was your only choice for HBCU, or you had options?
I didn't have any options. I didn't even know about HBCUs. Coming from the Bronx and even coming from high school, I didn't know anything about HBCUs. It was all my mom. My mom said, "Oh, you should go to Hampton," and that was the only HBCU I applied to, and I got in, and I haven't regretted it since. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So how'd you get into dance?
Dance. I was always a dancer. When I was a little toddler, I used to try to mimic Michael Jackson's moves and everything. My mom even has this videotape of me dancing when I was younger. And then I took some African classes growing up as well, some African dance classes. I was like the only dude in the class. And then I remember my first step class actually was when I was in the 6th grade. Okay. And looking back on it now, I think my step teacher was like a Sigma. Actually. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, I've been dancing since since I could move. Since I could walk, I was dancing.
Okay. All right. Cool. So since we're talking about a little background, what made you decide to become an alpha?
So what made me decide to become an alpha? When I first got to Hampton, I didn't know anything about Greek life or anything like that. And I remember it was, I forgot what was going on. But my parents were in town, they were visiting, and there was this alpha probate. And I think it was your probate.
I believe it was, say Yancey though.
It was Yancey's probate.
Spring 03.
Spring 03. And And my mom was like so amazed by it. I was amazed by it. I'd never seen anything like that in my life. And you know, I see these guys, you know, marching out. They're all locked up and stuff. And that's when I started looking into like fraternity. So you know, I was doing my research, and you know, I like these guys, you know, but I don't like their colors. You know, that's how it starts out and stuff.
Right.
But, the reason why I became an alpha was because of, you know, you look at what they do in the community, and then you also look at what they do on campus. You know, so really at the time I feel like the alphas was running the yard. So of course, you know, I was looking into alpha real hard, and then you know, all of their prominent leaders that are also a part of the fraternity and everything like that. So yeah, I think I made the decision to go down that route in 2003 after the probate. Didn't happen for me until 2005 though.
Cool. All right, 2005, number 10.
Yeah.
Cool. So all right, so let's just talk about now. We're gonna start going into like the college realm. So like you get to Hampton, you're there. What is it? What year did you get to Hampton?
2001
For 2001, right? So we came into Hampton the same time. So you stayed in what dorm? James Hall. All right, cool. So you in James Hall, your freshman year, 2001. What was it like for you coming in Hampton? What was it like? You know, we're the part of the student center era because that was the first year of the student center. So, what was it like for you, from what you remember?
Oh, so what I remember being overwhelmed by the activities that were there, and you know, because I came from a boarding school, like a military boarding school, so I was like so overwhelmed by the crowds and of course the beautiful women. I had never seen so many beautiful women, you know, in my life, like all in one spot. So that's what I remember. And another thing, I remember that there was so much music, and you know, I love to dance. I remember whenever I had me and my friends were, you know, it was like a Friday night, we would always be like, yo, what's going on in Ogden Hall? What's going on in Ogden? You know, is they gonna have music there? We would like dance and stuff in there. But yeah, that's what I remember. You know, just getting into the whole swing of things, like being social and yeah, that was like everything was new to me. You know. Yeah.
All right, cool. So now you go into like your freshman year, sophomore year, like, you know, you didn't play till 2005. So what was it like? Let's talk about your origins with the Majestic and the Oracle and how that worked out. Let's talk about that.
Okay. So, you know, really, we didn't even plan to like try out for the Majestics. It was actually like me and like four other friends. I don't even think one of my friends didn't even want to try out. Like, he was just trying out because it looked good in formation when we were doing this dance. But yeah, I remember going up to Roxy, and I think she was like one of the captains of the Majestics at the time, and you know, I was just testing my luck. They did hip hop dance. I liked hip hop dance. I was like, hey, y'all don't have any guys? You know, I was like, y'all looking for some guys to dance? I got a group of friends. We be dancing, and it was like it was like, yeah, okay, we got a tryout coming up soon. So they taught us the choreography. I think me and my friends had to learn that choreography like overnight. We stayed up in Wilder Hall, just going over.
Do you remember the people you were with?
Yeah, I do. It was me, Big Tex, Chaz, James, and who else? Cali, Chris. Those were my close friends. It wasn't until the year after that I think Rob and Fresh and all of them came on.
Okay.
So it was like, Yeah, so it was like me and my boys, we tried out, and we actually made it on. And no, I'm wrong. I think after like a couple of months, I remember Rob came to me, and it was like randomly he came to me. Like I think it was in we were at practice one time, and he said, "Yo, come here, come over here, come over." So I'm like, "What does this dude want?" So I come over, and we're like chatting in the corner somewhere in the gymnasium. And I forgot what questions he was asking me, but really he was like expressing his interest in dancing and stuff. So I was like, yeah, we can teach you the choreography, and you can try out. So Rob tried out by himself, and that's how I met Rob. But yeah, and then I knew Fresh from James Hall. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So how did the Oracle come about from what you remember?
The Oracle.
If you don't remember, it's cool.
No, I do remember.
All right.
So we had the Majestics, and then we had me, Rob, and several other guys. Wasn't too many guys, maybe like 5, 6 guys. You know, and some of the guys that we started out with had left because they were really only trying out because I got them to try out and stuff. But yeah, I remember we were trying to like start an official organization, you know, on campus. And we went through the whole process, the whole paperwork process. We were looking for an advisor to be over the organization. So finally we found somebody. I remember we were in the student center on the 2nd floor in one of the big rooms, and we were like, hey, what are we gonna call this organization? And and it wasn't even somebody a part of either the Majestics or the Oracle. It was like one of my random friends. He was like, yo, why don't y'all call it the Oracle? And we were like, what? Why would we call it the Oracle? He was like, yeah, because you're all knowing with dance. And we were like, okay. Yeah, so it's funny how anybody like on the dance teams or anything. So yeah, that's how it started. We were trying to make another organization that was like more hip hop, you know. So we had the Majestics. They would do like the student activities at the games and stuff. Then we had the Oracle that was like hip hop, you know, like real dance, and yeah. So that's how that came about.
Cool. All right. So then you have, I guess, talk about, you know, Booker and you know how everything got reached out with Booker, and then how everything got with You Got Served. So this is 2004 now. So we're kind of moving forward with the dance.
2004.
You Got Served 1. Yeah, and Booker and everything. Yeah. Cause remember Booker was kind of doing his own thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he still danced and everything like that. You guys had your own relationship.
So the You Got Served era, that was when so that I remember that fall semester. That was like my senior year at Hampton. And I was like, man, I want to be alpha since 02. I'm like, what's going on? I was like, yo, I'm crossing this year. So I was finding every alpha I could find to express to. And I forgot what came first. I forgot whether I just happened to bump into Yancey or I happened to see like a You Got Served flyer. But I remember, I don't remember where I caught Yancey. I just remember expressing to him, and it was real fast. And then we started talking about You Got Served. So I was like, okay, yeah, this is my chance. This is my chance to get close to when Alpha's on the yard, and one of the most popular alphas on the yard. And I was like, okay, how I'm gonna do this? And I remember Yancey asked me, he was like, yo, you think you can get the Majestics to do something too, or the Oracle to do something? And I was like, I think I can. But at the time, Booker wasn't messing with the Oracle, and of course, if you're not messing with the Oracle, the Majestic's not messing with you. I don't know what happened. Something, I can't remember the details. Something happened. So I think Yancey wanted Booker in the competition, but he also wanted the Oracle in the competition. So I was like, how the hell am I gonna do this? And so I'm like, but it's gotta get done. It's gotta get done. So. So I was like, I told the Oracle that I wasn't gonna be in it, and they believed me, and I was dancing with me and Booker, and geez, what was her name?
Ashley.
We were
It was you, Booker, Ashley, Josh. And there's one other dude I don't know. Some tall dude that looked like, but it was all y'all.
Yeah. So we started dancing, and it was like everybody was from Cali, so we was like the Cali crew. We was crumping and doing all sorts of hip hop, and yeah. So they believed me for a while, and it went unnoticed. And I remember going up in the student center, second floor, seeing them practice. And I used to like show up, you know, just to watch the practices. And they used to be like, yo, you know, you're not dancing, right? You're not dancing. No, I'm not dancing. I'm not dancing. And I never went there to scope out. I didn't care if I won or lost or anything like that. I just, I would just go up there to just show them that, I'm not practicing. And so things were good for a while. Until we got real close to the competition. Now, I don't know what happened, but they got the feeling that I was still dancing, despite my efforts of trying to hide it from them. And sure enough, I did show up at the You Got Served. I think we painted our faces too. I was hoping they wouldn't recognize me, but they really knew it was me. And it was so heated. They were so heated. I felt so bad, but I was like, we dance. We've been dancing together for all these years. When you're that close to somebody, things get out. We talk about, what organizations we want to be a part of. So I thought they would have put two and two together. But no, they didn't. They was heated, and I just remembered as we were battling, I remember feeling like the heat, like, oh shoot, this is a real You Got Served right here. And so yeah.
You remember how you lost? What happened when you lost? Because Booker talked about the lean, and that ended up being the nail in the coffin.
Oh yeah. So me and Booker, we had practiced this lean before for another competition, and he actually won. And so he was like, yeah, we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it again for this competition. But I think what we didn't take into account was that previous footage of me and Booker, you doing the lean, was on the internet. So, and I think people knew that Booker could do the lean, and that was like his trademark dance. Watch Booker do the lean, like, oh, so. And they did it. I remember Booker was heated about that too. I remember we was on the dance floor, and it was like the students in was going crazy, and Booker came up and he was like, yo, that's my move. How are you gonna do the lean? How are you gonna do the lean? When Booker gets upset, like he gets like deep, so yeah.
Alright, cool. So that's You Got Served. Let's talk about, once you become an alpha, what was it like being an alpha, and then also being able to show your craft as a dancer and as a stepper? Like, what was that for you? Being able to pledge, cross, and then not only cross, you can put your imprint on the chapter.
All right. So I feel like I started imprinting on the chapter even before I crossed.
Yeah. Okay.
I remember there was this one stroll.
Try to keep your hands down.
Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
I remember there was this one stroll. It was we called it the Big Balls.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make the stroll up. I remember, like, if I could say I served any part in making up this stroll, I'd say maybe like director, you know, of this Big Balls stroll. But it was actually Chris Nunn. He came up with the concept, Big Balls, you know. And what's crazy is that there's this freak down part in the stroll. You know, I didn't make that up. It was like actually Lou. I remember me and Lou was talking to Chris Nunn about doing this stroll, and Chris Nunn was like, "Yo, I'm thinking of doing this stroll. I want to call it the Big Balls." And he's like, "Okay, I got this motion. This is the Big Balls, right?" And then you whip them out, right? You look around, right? So then Chris Nunn was like, "Yo, I don't know what we're gonna do after this." And then Lou was like, "Well, yo, why don't we do this? Why don't we do this?" And Lou starts humping the floor. I'm like, all right, that's good, yeah. So I just like mixed the parts up and was like, okay, we can do this here, there, yeah. So that was my first time ever like doing something like dance related for like the chapter, and so I was happy about that. But then I tried to like incorporate a lot of different steps. I remember one of the first steps that I really wanted to like hit a step show with hard was this step where I think we wore some gloves. Oh, we did it for a pageant.
The black and gold pageant.
Yeah, it was a black and gold pageant.
Right.
And we did some crazy, a whole bunch of stuff. And I remember when my friends would say, "Yo, I knew you made that up. When I saw that, I knew that was you." But yeah, and there was some strolls, a couple of strolls. There was a stroll called the Flavor Ice.
That was one of the illest strolls ever, and we do that too.
Yeah.
I got tape of the Flavor Ice. So you want to describe that a little bit? 'Cause I got that one.
Okay.
Go ahead, talk about it. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
All right. So the Flavor Ice, the Flavor Ice is like, it's like a real like hard stroll, like not technically hard, but it's like, you know, when we start out the stroll, there's like hard stomp in the beginning, and then there's like a lot of high jumps and stuff. But I wanted this stroll to be flashy, but yet easy to do, because I knew not all the brothers were dancers. So I wanted to make sure that this stroll was hard and easy to do. And it's a lot more complicated than it actually looks. I remember when I first had a stroll practice with the bros, I think Yancey was the first person I taught. I remember Yancey was the first person I taught, and I remember he was standing next to me when I did the stroll. And so it's actually harder than it actually looks, but because Yancey was the first person I taught, it was sort of simplified a little bit, and like it brought out a harder effect in it, because I was doing like one of these spins is like double spin and yeah. But that was the Flavor Ice. Yeah. Cool. We only do that to like hard songs, and yeah, I miss that shit.
Yeah, I think we started with the Young Jeezy and R. Kelly. There's a Young Jeezy R. Kelly song. All right, so we came into Hampton at the same time. So let's talk about a couple of things that we remember. What do you remember about the 12 to 2, and how it was for you?
The 12 to 2. I didn't know the 12 to 2 until after I crossed.
Right.
I knew about it before, but I was like a biology major. I wasn't going to 12 to 2s. It wasn't until I crossed and I was strolling, And then there was the 12 to 2. Then I knew all about the 12 to 2. Every Friday I was in there 12 to 2 strolling. And that 12 to 2, man, it was like a stress reliever for me, man. You know, like after, you're studying all day, up from 6 o'clock in the morning just to get to 8 o'clock class. Then you have that 12 to 2, and then they playing the music. You just chilling there, and the students in to see your friend. Yo, what's up, man? Going to class. It was good times, man.
Cool. All right. So now you got let's talk about New Face and like the legions and the parties and stuff. From what you remember, what did you think about it back then, even before you crossed and after you crossed? Like, did you go to any of the parties and stuff like that, or like the Mardi Gras, skating parties, Tipsy Pins? You probably didn't really start doing that stuff till after you crossed, right?
Yeah, I didn't start doing it.
Cool. All right. So after you, you just go to Apple Cabs?
Not until after I crossed.
Cool. So you're a late bloomer. So after you cross, now you at the legions and all that. So now it's 2005, 2006, 2007. You out there. So what was that like? Going out to those parties, and now you are alpha, and you coordinated, or you are by default you're a part of New Face because you're an alpha. So what was that like?
I remember it being a bit of an adjustment for me. It was some work because I had never like really promoted parties like this before. But I would also say that sometimes it was a bit easy too, especially like during like alpha events, because all you had to do was put on some letters, and people were asking you for tickets, especially like alpha cab. Like I think I used to run out of tickets fast, just walking to my biology classes, and that was an experience, for me. Like, I remember I crossed for alpha, but yeah, like new people would ask me about New Face events because Yancey was alpha.
Right.
And so that's how I would be like tied in with that.
Cool. All right. So we kind of briefly touched about it earlier, but like how you interacted with me, how you met me. So wait, what did you think about me as a person, or Yancey? What do you think about Yancey as a person back then, and like what do you think about Yancey as a person now, as far as this documentary and everything's concerned?
Yancey. So, like when I first heard of Yancey, I heard about him before he was an alpha. And everybody was talking about Yancey. I thought he worked for the school. but yeah, I found out he was just a student. And then when I finally got to meet Yancey, like this was after knowing that he was with New Face and then seeing him across the alpha, it was like I know we have like those big brothers, at Hampton. I feel like Yancey was like the first big brother I had at Hampton. He was the first alpha I expressed to. So it was I don't know, sort of like endearing there. I looked up to Yancey. Like he was always busy. Like if he said he was gonna do something, he does it. And that's really what I admired, and that was one of the things that I wanted to influence me. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So what do you think about this documentary?
This documentary, it took off real fast. Just the other day, I remember in the group chat, Yancey had mentioned it, and then you're here. I remember this interview was set up like 2 days ago through text message, yeah. And then you texted me this morning. Yeah, I'm in the lot. I'm like, oh shit. So Yancey's still the same. If he says he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it.
Right. It's funny. Alright, so we're gonna switch the tone just for a little bit. We're gonna talk about depression in our society, in our community, especially young males and African American males. So we want to create awareness and help people out. So how do you feel about depression and suicide, and how do you think that affects our community as far as that goes?
Well, I know there's we don't talk about depression or mental illness as much as we should talk about it. And wow, that's a big question. Hold on a second.
Yes, I said we got to tone up. Take a second. Go ahead. Take a second.
My thoughts, because I do this.
Mm-hmm.
And what was the question?
Just talking about depression and suicide and the effect on our community. So just talking, just your take on it, and anything that you think would be good to create awareness about it. You know, 'cause I think we need to do a better job of that. And this is what this documentary is going to be helping out with too. I told you the documentary is going to be in parts. So like the questions you're answering may not be on one part. You know what I'm saying? Like your Greek part may be one part. Dancing is going to be another part. You know, then we're going to switch the tone up. You know, talk about the community service, depression and suicide, and then go from there.
All right. And how it affects the community, or like African Americans.
African American community, yeah, African American community. You know, men. You know, there's a lot of masculinity when it comes to black men. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times, something that may soften somebody up, expressing themselves about depression, it's not spoken about because the black male is supposed to be strong, you know, and that is in some people's eyes a form of weakness. So, you know, we want to create awareness and let people know that anyone could, you know, we could talk to anybody, you know what I'm saying? Like we could talk to each other and make sure we're good. So, okay. Just your take on it. It's cool.
So I sort of feel like we are all susceptible to depression. And you know, anxiety and depression come hand in hand. You know, too much anxiety can cause depression. Depression, you know, comes with anxiety. But in terms of awareness and what it does to our community, I feel as though we are slowly beginning to embrace the fact that mental illness is real and that it can affect anyone. Just in the music, you know, there are a lot of hip hop artists that are, you know, beginning to talk about their depression and their issues with mental illness. I think I heard a rapper the other day say he was on Adderall. You know, I think it was Kodak Black, and that he mentioned he was on Adderall, and I always kind of felt he was, you know, a little, you know,
a little off.
Yeah, a little off. But so I feel like we are coming to an age where we're beginning to accept that mental illness is real in our communities, and that we need to talk about it. And so I'm glad it's starting with music, because you know, as a people, you know, music is a very important part of our life and our culture. The one thing I wish we did more of is talk, when it comes to mental illness, is talk more about like therapy. You know, whenever we talk about mental illness, everybody's always talking about medication, you know, meds. You know, you don't always need meds, you know, but when it comes to therapy, you know, we all need therapy. You know, at some point in time in our life, it would benefit us to get therapy. You know, just as we see our primary care providers, you know, we should have our therapists. You know, and just as you see your cardiologist for your high blood pressure or your heart failure, you need to see a therapist. Now, honestly, I don't have a therapist, but I am aware that therapy is good, and that being a nurse, I'm well aware about that therapy is good. So it's not that I'm dodging it. It's just that I just haven't done that. But, that's what I do wish we did more of.
What message would you have for a high school student that's thinking about going to college and is looking to you for advice, like somebody who's from the Bronx or thinking about going to school or going away? What message do you have to that high school student thinking about going to college?
Well, if he's thinking about going to college, I'm already glad about that, because I've met a lot of kids that aren't even thinking about going to college, and don't even have their high school diplomas. Mm. So if I meet a kid that says I want to go to college, my next question will be, oh, that's good. So what do you want to do? So I would probably, I'd probably tell them to. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if they're telling me they want to go to college,
what about somebody? So what about a high school student that's not thinking about going to college and they're trying to look for something, to further their life? Somebody who doesn't even know about college. What would you say to that person to get them to go to college?
All right. So yeah, I dealt with that just the other day.
There you go.
So I work in the ER, and just the other day I had this kid come in. He was in a poor community in Yonkers. He trashed the house, damn near burned the house down, and he comes into our ER. He's in handcuffs with the police. I think the kid is like 15 years old. So I asked the kid, I said, hey, what happened? And he said, I don't know, I'm just upset. So I wasn't getting anything out of the kid. I asked the police what happened. The police said, yeah, he wanted a cell phone. But his mom said she didn't have the money. So because of that, he threw everything around, burnt the house. But the kid, I said, why did you do all of this when your mom doesn't have the money? And the kid tells me, well, she bought my brother sneakers the other day. So I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, so then I start asking, and this is when I see this is a young black male. I start asking the kid, okay, so are you in school? And the kid says, yeah, I'm in school. Then the mom blurts out, he hasn't been to school in 2 weeks. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, why don't you go to school? And he's like, because I don't feel like I gain anything from it. So then I'm like, well, what do you expect to gain in the future if you do not finish school? So then, we're going back and forth. The kid is ignoring me, and I'm finding out that this kid is just in the streets hanging out with the drug dealers and all of this stuff. And I also think that the kid was also selling drugs as well on the street. So then I asked this kid, I said, you work? The kid says, yeah. Didn't tell me what he does. I think he's selling drugs. But so the kid was telling me, I just don't have the motivation. I said to him, I forgot what I said to him, but basically the point was that getting started was our main problem. Doesn't matter where you finish or how you finish. It's just getting started is what we all have a problem with. So that's what I would tell the kid. It's just to get started.
Cool.
Yeah.
Took a lot to get there, bro.
Yeah.
All right, so you've done a lot of schooling. You graduated. You did further education. You're in nursing, doing more things now. You're going back to school. What advice would you give to a student that's thinking about dropping out of school and not finishing? What would you want to tell that student that's thinking about dropping out of school, dropping out of college?
that's thinking of dropping out of college.
Yeah, like, yo, Tyrell, listen, listen, Reezy, this shit is not for me, bro. Like, I can't do it no more. Like, I'm out. Like, I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I'm about to drop out of school. Like, I'm done with college.
Well, what I tell myself is, rest if I must, but don't quit. And it's ironic that this was a poem that I often recited with my fraternity, and that particular phrase, "rest if you must, but don't you quit." If you keep saying that to yourself, when you feel like quitting, just stop, take a breather, and then just get back to it.
Cool.